also put the fear into our lives. Because there's a document called medium-term debt strategy, which our Committee of Public Debt and Privatization approved. That's the document which approved the borrowing levels. It means if they have to come back to Parliament, there's a revision of the medium-term debt strategy. Economic pundits also argue that there is need for the parliamentary committees to have a meeting with the National Treasury to formulate the way forward.
The reason why KRA has never met its target is there is such a big disconnect in terms of the process of budgeting, bringing everything into law, and implementation. It means that KRA has not been able to implement everything that has been said because some of them are not feasible. The other disconnect I see, Chacha, is the way people do business in Kenya. Is there a research to know that by the time we are going to tax this sector, that this is actually what goes on and it is justifiable to tax, or are we taxing just to meet targets or just to be seen to be meeting targets?
There is need to have a meeting, a joint meeting between Finance and National Planning Committee and Budget and Appropriation Committee and Treasury. We sit down and see on areas that need to be touched by the supplies.
Meanwhile, in what happens not to take chances with different interpretations of the law, a Kenyan Kennedy Wanyanga has moved to the courts seeking interpretation of whether President Ruto can legally withdraw a money bill. He fears that come 11th this month, the finance bill could automatically become an act, leading to public rage and more demonstrations. Joel Chacha, K24 TV, Nairobi.
President William Ruto has yet again clarified that prior intelligence reports helped the government to control mass demonstrations last week that also turned violent. In his widely televised interview with local media stations, the president said it was a delicate balance for him to protect protesters and property amid violence and looting. This comes as the High Court today certified the case against Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua as urgent following his remarks against the National Intelligence Service. Timothy Simo with the details.
While he may have been reluctant to comment directly on the remarks by his deputy that indicted the National Intelligence Agency, President William Ruto believes Tuesday, June 25th mass protests were handled well. In the aftermath of the protests, DP Rigathi Gachagua laid blame on the National Intelligence Service, but his boss says he was forced to take drastic measures acting on prior information.
I did my best. If I hadn't done what I did, things would have been much worse. In fact, many people ask me, Mr. President, why did you call in the army? I mean, what choice did I have?
Ruto says the damage would have been worse had he not intervened in time. The NIS and its director, Nurdin Haji, found themselves on the receiving end of the DP as he delivered a damning assessment of their performance.
We have a dysfunctional National Intelligence Service that has exposed the president, the government, and the people of Kenya.
Following these remarks, activist Frederick Bikeri moved to court to sue the DP for undermining the intelligence body.
Had the National Intelligence Service briefed the president 2 months ago about how the people of Kenya feel about the Finance Bill 2024, so many Kenyans would not have died. Property would not have been destroyed. Offices would not have been touched. There would have been no mayhem.
Today, the High Court has certified the case as urgent, with the mention set for July 15th, even as the president and his deputy serving the same government continue to see issues of national importance from different lenses. Timothy Simo, K24 TV.
Mixed reactions continue to be elicited following President William Ruto's Sunday night media interview. A cross-section of Kenyans are accusing the president of failing to listen to the people's voices, with others urging him to step aside. Meanwhile, business people within Nairobi are calling on the youth to halt their demos as the president has softened his stance. They want normalcy to return so that they can continue with their businesses.
Hata kiulizo kama leo umefanyia maendeleo gani wa Kenya, anajibu kuambia kumaanisha kwamba mwaka ujao itakuwa siasa za mchakato wa vyama inaanza, ndio itakao ni mwelekeo wa siasa. Kwa hivyo maendeleo ni mwaka huu.
Sisi shida yetu maandamano ni aondoke kitini, sio eti tunamtaka atuondole ile katiba alikuwa anaweka tuitaki. Yeye mwenyewe ndo atumtaki.
Na hiyo mwanzo ile kitu kinaniuma ni ya kuwa
mwananchi ahusishwi, wanafanya vile wanataka hapo bugeni. Hiyo ndio kitu kinaniona.
Wewe sasa hauna touch anymore. Resign kama rais, uwe na amani.
Na kwetu tu ni kuomba president sahi, this is a very sensitive time. Sisi tuko katika hali ya maombolezaji kama mashirika kutetea haki za kibinadamu. Tunaomba tu ya kwamba matamshi yoyote yanayozungumzwa na kiongozi yoyote yawe ni matamshi ambayo yataleta uwiano.
So tulikuwa naomba kwa kulingana na vile president aliongea na like jana vile aliongea, president ameomba kuongea na wananchi. Hasa hii hao watu ambao ni wa group ya Gen Z wampe nafasi ya kumsikiza, because the issue here ilikuwa ni kupewa sikio na serikali.
Calling upon you people to give him time, listen also to him as much as he has listened to you, and give him time to at least do a number of things that you are calling on.
Well, we take another break right here on K24 Evening Edition. We'll be back in a short while with more updates.
Have you watched K24? We would love to hear from you. Send us your feedback on what you like and what you don't like and why. You can use any platform to reach us. We can be reached on Facebook, SMS, Twitter, and WhatsApp.
Cheza kama wewe na cheza sita. Ushinde hadi mara 5,000 ya beti yako teke teke. Yes, and it's that simple. Dial *675#. Cheza na 6 numbers kati ya 1 hadi 6. Weka bet amount yako kutoka shilingi 50 tu. Ushinde hadi mara 5,000 instantly. Cheza kama wewe na cheza sita na upate nafasi moja kati ya 4 ya kuwa mshindi. Dial *675# to play now. Over 18 only. Gaming is addictive. Play responsibly. This message has been authorized by the BCLB.
Welcome back. Let's move on. Civil society organizations are condemning police violence during protests that resulted in 24 deaths and multiple injuries. They are calling on the government to prioritize executive action rather than calls for dialogue. Subsequently, the police have also been warned to cease harassment and use force against protesters, with a caution that action would be taken against them if these abuses continue.
According to the civil rights group, as of last night, 24 people have been killed by police officers and at least 361 have reported several injuries. One of the youngest fatalities is 12-year-old Kennedy Onyango, and the number of arrests summing up to 627 and 32 abductions. The organizations have urged the government to protect the young protesters since they represent issues affecting many Kenyans.
The number that we have of persons who died during the protests or who have died during the protests over the last 2 weeks stands at 24. With many in hospitals, we've given the number. Some of them are in critical conditions, and this is a number that we have. This is an official number. These are verified.
Collectively, we would just want to emphasize that it is not dialogue that produces the change that the Gen Z movement wants. It is decisive action. Many of the issues that they have raised, issues around corruption, bloated cabinet, the issues around defunding essential services like education, health, agriculture. These are issues that are within the purview of the national administration.
The Law Society of Kenya has vowed to take action against the police if they fail to adhere to the recent orders against use of force on protesters, refrain from criminalizing protesters, and cease using camouflaged and uniformed police officers and unmarked cars with concealed license plates.
All those who have been abducted to be released. If not, we are going to file contempt contempt of court, and to those specific people who have deflected from those orders.
We said we are going to sue Inspector General of Police in line with the law so that journalists do not become victims of police brutality. We know very well that Geneva Convention says that journalists in such circumstances are supposed to be given safe corridors and protected by police instead of being attacked by the police.
Elsewhere, the church and the clergy have urged protesters to give ear to dialogue and end demonstrations, likewise urging the youth to relent from unnecessarily attacking the church, terming it as a friend to all.
The church, however, urges you now to come to the conversation table and allow for dialogue. As the Bible says, come, let us reason together. We request the youths to cease street demonstrations and engage the government.
The church has also raised concerns on what it believes are infiltrations by goons and persons with ill intent, given the destruction and looting of property witnessed. Mercy Avoga, K24.
The Ministry of Health has announced plans to dismantle designated centers exclusively offering treatment and care for individuals living with HIV. The initiative aims to reduce stigma and provide comprehensive health services by integrating HIV care in local health centers. As Ben Kirida tells us on today's Health Beat, over 1.3 million Kenyans living with HIV will benefit from this integration, allowing them to access a broader range of healthcare services alongside other patients.
For years, persons living with HIV in Kenya have faced significant societal discrimination. The Demographic Health Survey reveals that 9% of women and 8% of men in Kenya believe HIV-positive children should not attend school with their HIV-negative peers. Additionally, 22% of women and 15% of men refuse to buy vegetables from a HIV-positive vendor. Such attitudes have led to psychological distress and reluctance among HIV patients to seek treatment from designated centers, negatively impacting their viral load.
Our HIV population is aging. They are having other diseases, mainly hypertension, diabetes, and cancer.
The National AIDS and STI Control Program, NASCOP, is spearheading the integration of HIV services into general healthcare.
Integration is really a focus on the person rather than just the virus.
The integration will leverage existing HIV platforms for other healthcare services.
The same platforms we use for HIV. Trust me, they can do HPV, which is cancer screening and diagnosis. The same platform